right, the Iowa caucuses are on Monday, or as the late Rush Limbaugh called them, the Hawkeye Caucus happens on Monday. Iowans will kick off the election year officially with a vote on Monday. Now, weather may be a big factor with the temperatures expected to be very, very low, around 5 degrees, they're saying in some cases. Will that keep people away? Will it only be the most adamant voters in Iowa that will turn out? We don't know the answer. But looking at a Rasmussen poll, I think this is fascinating. According to Rasmussen, Trump holds an 8-point lead over Joe Biden in a head-to-head battle, 49-41. Ron DeSantis is up by only 1 point. Now, this is well within the margin of error, and also within the margin of error, we have Nikki Haley is losing in this Rasmussen poll, that the only Republican candidate really that's still standing, no disrespect to Ramaswamy, but his poll numbers are not very good. The only one with any kind of poll numbers would be Trump, who is way out in front in the Republican primary, and then DeSantis and Haley, depending on what you're looking at. Haley has narrowed the margin in New Hampshire. We'll see what happens moving forward. But of the candidates, it looks like the American people, for as much as the American people do not, according to the polls, don't want to see a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, if that is all that they have to choose from, polls are showing that the American people are going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, that could change dramatically. We know about the trials and everything else. I'm just talking about where it stands today. For the people out there, and there's two different people. One is a Biden supporter, and the other is a Trump hater. And there are many of those. Donald Trump is a polarizing figure. And so you have to admit, there is something to the Trump derangement syndrome. There are people out there that just hate him. They don't care what the effects are. They don't care what the law says. They don't care. They think he's evil. They think he needs to be punished. We've got to take him out. And if we don't take him out by any means necessary, we're bad Americans. But the American people are saying, if given a rematch, so I mean this respectfully to the people that would never vote for Donald Trump. And they would say, if I don't want Biden either, but if I have to choose between the two, I'm taking Biden. Well, that's a lesser of two evils mentality by itself. I'm not saying all people feel that way. I'm saying if that's the case, the majority of Americans, having had to make this choice less than 4 years ago, they chose Joe Biden by very slim margins, but they did. After seeing, there's a resume. We all know about Donald Trump's resume as president. We know about Donald Trump's history as a human being. It's been exposed. We know about the porn stars, and we know about all this other stuff. We know about the accusations. We know about the trials. We know about the tweets. We know about everything else that comes with a President Trump. We also now have over 3 years of Joe Biden as president of the United States. He now has a resume of being the president. And when the American people are looking at both of those resumes, warts and all, good and bad from both people, they're saying, if I have to choose between those two, I'm taking Donald Trump. What does that say about the presidency of Joe Biden? The problem is what you're going to see, and this is kind of when you watch television shows like The View, which I don't, this is what happens. It's the criticism of anybody that would vote for Donald Trump. It's Trump lovers. I have a story in here that's hilarious. Why the religious right forgives Trump's sins. I want you to guess the knowledge of religion and faith and the knowledge of anybody on the right side of the aisle that this person possesses just based on the way they start this story. Donald Trump is many things. A former president, a businessman, a thrice married adulterer who allegedly cheated on his wife with a porn star, then made a hush money payment to cover it up, and at least according to the Colorado Supreme Court, an insurrectionist. That's the beginning. So, I wonder if this is journalism, because on this website at the end they say, if you like our independent journalism, that sounds a lot more like opinion. I have a strong one as well, but I just think that's hilarious. And then it's very critical of evangelicals that would vote for Donald Trump. So that's where we go with things, is instead of saying, and if I were a Democrat, and I'm not, but if I were a Democrat, or if I were somebody that despised Donald Trump, I wouldn't blame anybody that looks at this administration and says, given the choices, I'm going with Donald Trump. I would find a candidate that people would vote for no matter who the other candidate is. So it's easy to criticize the other voters. For me, I will tell you, I don't like what Joe Biden does. I'm not a fan of his policies. I have nothing against him as a human being. I have no axe to grind. I bear no hard feelings toward him. But I don't like the direction of the country. I think it's abysmal what's happened at the border. I think it's a failed policy. The immense spending and growth of government and what's proposed, I think, is bad for America. So based on that, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. But the fact is, I don't go after Biden voters and call them evil people. When you look at and there are many that do. There are many people on my side of the aisle that you demonize people that disagree with you. I had an email exchange with somebody yesterday that didn't just call me wrong on an issue. They said, you either don't do your homework or you're lying. That was basically what they said in the email. The idea that when given these two choices, and people that are Biden supporters or Trump haters, you should start looking at the numbers because they now have a resume. We are all very, very familiar in this country with Donald Trump. I should say President Trump, but Donald Trump, the human being, and everything that comes with a presidency of Donald Trump. And we now know Joe Biden and everything that comes with a presidency with Joe Biden. And all of the poll numbers are trending in the direction that, given the choices of the baggage that comes with both, the American people are siding with Donald Trump. If you don't like that, then maybe the Democratic Party should stop hindering any other candidate that wants to step into the race and give them a fair chance against the current president. Instead of demonizing anybody that would support Donald Trump over Joe Biden, why don't you look at why they would support him over Joe Biden? I just think that's a better way to look at things.
Thanks for watching The Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch the first season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.